think we're going to get started. Well, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everybody. It's great to have the opportunity to be with you here today. Welcome to our webinar brought to you by the Global Alliance for Youth and also the Global Apprenticeship Network. For those of you unfamiliar with GAN, the Global Apprenticeship Network, it's a multi-sectoral alliance. It's headquartered in Geneva. It was established 10 years ago. We're celebrating a birthday soon. We have multinational corporate members across various sectors, and we're also very proud to have many highly respected international organizations like the International Organization of Employers and the International Labour Organization as founding partners. Today, very excited because we are going to talk about the Swiss apprenticeship model and its application in other jurisdictions to really provide examples from the US and the UK. And at GAN Global, both the staff who are with me in the room here today, several of them, and also our members, we're particularly passionate about the topic, and we really believe in the transformative impact that quality apprenticeships have in order to shape lives, individual lives, to affect business growth and really drive business growth and also make an impact in society. So we really think that this can only happen if the private sector steps up and plays a lead role. And that's exactly what GAN is all about and what we're talking about here today. And it's one of the reasons why we launched back in January of this past year in Davos, Switzerland, Corporate Champions for Apprenticeship. We felt it was really important to publicly demonstrate companies' commitment to the guiding principles on quality apprenticeships. This is based on Recommendation 208 that the International Labour Congress last year approved, and each corporate champion is committed to providing and in improving its apprenticeship programs and aligning to regulatory frameworks, really looking at protection measures, making sure they're in place, promoting diversity, equity, and inclusion, collaborating, measuring impact, etc. So we would love to have other like-minded private sector members join us. You can see those who are already part of our alliance who are on the screen in front of you. And we really, truly want to make an impact on the number and the quality of apprenticeship programs worldwide. So today, we're going to hear from two Swiss-based companies, both highly committed for decades, in fact, in some cases, century to apprenticeship. And we're going to hear from both the management side and also the apprenticeship side and their perspectives about their experiences and with the Swiss model. But before we get to our panel, I'm very, very pleased to introduce our keynote speaker, Olivia Gachoud, who's head of the Science and Technology Office at the Embassy of Switzerland, based in the US. Olivia has spent several years holding various positions within the Swiss federal administration, but also in the not-for-profit and the private sector spheres. And between 2019 and 2022, she worked for President Switzerland and the Federal Department of Foreign Affairs, where she started her focus on Switzerland's promotion abroad and transatlantic collaboration in fields like education, research, and innovation. So she's super well equipped to talk to us today. And Olivia, we're very happy to have you join us. So the floor is yours. Welcome, Olivia.
Thank you so much, Catherine. Very happy to be here. It's a bright morning in Washington, D.C. So hello, Grazie from the Swiss Embassy in the United States. So I would like to tell you a little bit more about Swiss-style apprenticeship, but in particular, how some Swiss companies successfully implemented this model also in the United States. And so because we are amongst friends today, I will share a little bit of our secret recipe for this successful model. Next slide, please. So Switzerland and the United States have a lot in common. Switzerland, a country of roughly 8.9 million inhabitants, mostly covered by rocks and by water. You can think, how do they manage to lead innovation rankings year after year? And when I do a presentation, I usually take the year 2022 because that year Switzerland topped the United States in innovation rankings. So the secret to our innovation, basically we have three pillars. It's fundamental research, bottom-up research, is the close partnership between academia and industry. And the third one is a highly skilled workforce, apprenticeship. In Switzerland, we invest in education, we invest in talent and youth. Next slide, please. So really the secret behind the Swiss-made quality standard that you know, that is recognized throughout the world, this is everything that you know of Switzerland, all the products. Well, what maybe you don't know is that behind all of these products is a highly savoir-faire that is enabled by apprenticeship, work-based learning. Next slide, please. And I would like to start with a question, because we have to actually ask ourselves, why do companies decide to train? Why do Swiss companies decide to train? Next slide. So, of course, it started with tradition. In Switzerland, we have been implementing apprenticeship for more than 200 years. And it was actually a model that was established in most countries. But in Switzerland, we decided to keep this model for education, whereas most countries went to a major academization of their education system in the 60s and 70s. Companies also do it to save on recruiting costs. Apprenticeship is actually the best recruiting strategy. You bet on a young person and you train them for 2, 3 to 4 years. So you infuse the culture of your embassy, the values of your embassy. You give a mentor to this person. There are highly chances that this young person will stay with the company. It's also, let's say, after 1 year of apprenticeship, the young person you already have your return on investment. So this really is made so that you can build your own pipeline. And this is something that we hear every day in the United States, but also throughout the world. Companies really struggle to recruit the highly skilled workforce for their industry needs. It enables companies, but also countries in the end, to stay at the forefront of innovation. Because as I said before, after 1 year, this person is already well established in the company. After 2 years, they become really, really good at what they do. After 3 years, they're an expert. But remember that they're also very young, so very opinionated. And so when you have someone who's an expert at what they do and very opinionated, this drives innovation. And then social responsibility, of course, companies in Switzerland, and here I would like to remind that it's not all companies who train in Switzerland. Of course, some small and medium enterprises, they might not have the resources. So we're talking about 34 to 36% of companies who train in Switzerland. They feel that they have a responsibility towards young people to train and educate them and to perpetuate the model. Next slide, please. So this, I think that most of you probably know it. The model works, it's work-based learning. So it means that students usually spend about 3.5 days during the week in a company or organization doing on-the-job training and 1.5 days at school. What I would like to say on this slide is that in Switzerland, 2/3 of young people, so we're talking about from 16 to 25-year-olds, go through an apprenticeship. And this is probably why the Swiss model is recognized as the gold standard, is that we have managed for 200 years to maintain a high attractivity for this model of education for young people. 2/3 of young people do an apprenticeship in Switzerland. Next slide, thank you. This just to give you an overview of a mechatronic apprentice, and my colleague Patrick will go more into details. But so here the keyword is basically that when they are within the company, they are accompanied by an instructor, and they usually get a 360-degree overview of the company. So this is really important that the apprentice goes through different departments: accounting, the mechanic, the marketing, the business and administration, to really get the full overview of the company and feel that they belong, and also for the future prospects. Because maybe they start as a mechanic, but maybe it's actually the HR department that interests them more. And then when they go to the vocational school for 1.5 days, there they have a curriculum that matches exactly their profession. So for example, for mechatronic, it would be materials engineering, technical drawing, computer sciences. So this is why the collaboration with the community college, vocational school, Beruf school is so important, so that the curriculum matches the skills. Next slide. This here, okay, this slide has a lot of colors. This is some things that we love to do in Switzerland. We put arrows everywhere. But the key word here is permeability. Apprenticeship is an open road. It's really often the case that you will have apprentices who graduate, they can stay with the company, they can move to another company, or many of them actually join a university of applied sciences. And I will talk about permeability just a bit more, but you know, we talk a lot in the US about changing the mindset. And to me, it's a very simple narrative. We can say, for example, students who go to higher education, to university, they start by studying and then they work. Apprentices in Switzerland, they simply start by working, and then if they want, they go on to further education. It's very simple, actually, when you present it like that. We can take the next slide. Here, I would like to show this slide because it's also important to talk about options. We often say that, yes, in Switzerland, the model has been established for 200 years, but Swiss people, they really don't care that we've had this model for a while. You have to make the model attractive for young people. They want to work in future and emerging fields, you know, space, climate protection, healthcare, all these jobs. And here in Switzerland, they can choose between 245 different professions. And actually, the most let's say, successful professions, or not successful, but the most famous amongst young people, it's a commercial employee, which could be translated as business and administration, retail clerk, which is sales, healthcare, social worker. So you see that the top 4 professions are, frankly said, professions that don't really exist in the United States when we talk about apprenticeship. So I think this slide is important. You can say to other people, look, in Switzerland, business and administration, that's the main path for apprentices. Next slide, please. Thank you. You can just pause. Yeah, thank you. Perfect. And the last one also? Okay, great. So one mission, three partners. Apprenticeship is a system that has to work on 3 legs, at least, or maybe more, 4 or 5, but at least 3 legs. So we're talking about the federal level, and the federal level in Switzerland, they ensure that there's a homogeneity within the system, the strategic plan, the management. The states, they are responsible for the education level. So they cover, for example, the vocational schools, the career guidance, the supervision of the apprentices. And the private sector is really the driving force behind the apprenticeship model. They are responsible for the content, the actual content that is in the curriculum of the apprentices. And this enables apprenticeship in general to keep the finger on the pulse. What is needed within the industry? How do we have to adapt the knowledge that the apprentice learn, for example? So the private sector training content, and of course, they are responsible to train the apprentices and also to pay for their salaries. So we can go to the next slide just to have a little look at the cost, because this is a question that comes often. Who pays for this massive education model, this costly education model? There again, the companies, they are the driving force behind the model. They bear about 60% of the cost. And this goes mainly into the training of the apprentices, the infrastructure, the equipment that they need, but also the wage of the trainers. And let's not forget about the trainer. And I'm sure that also Patrick will say a bit more about this. 30% by the cantons, so for the vocational schools, and 10%, which is more cost, general cost to perpetuate the model, maybe to give some subsidies. Next slide, please. Thank you. Yes. So why is apprenticeship so necessary in our countries? And this is why, for example, we partner so closely with the United States, but also with other countries, because we are now facing challenges that are global. And apprenticeship is a way to address some of those challenges. Jobs are getting more and more complex. This is just a reality. Emerging industries, such as I mentioned before, for example, semiconductors, sensors, photonics, space. So you will not be able to find or to train a person in one night to assemble some complex semiconductor systems, or you will not be able to find a person in one night to work as a technician in a very complex biotechnology manufacture, or to automate the machines that cost millions and millions. So there is really a need for qualified workers, and this is what we hear when we talk to every company in the United States, but also in other places in the world. We talk about apprenticeship a lot, but we also talk a lot about security and resilience in supply chains. So If we want to depend less on other countries, and I will just say other countries, then we need to build our own pipeline. There's just no other way around it. Apprenticeship, and especially in the United States, is also a way for a more affordable path of education. And it's also a commitment to youth, to empowering youth, because just the blunt reality is that not every person between 16 to 25-year-old is built or is made to sit in a class and have passive knowledge. Some other people, they want to have hands-on activities. Okay, next slide, please. So just since I work for the embassy, I have to do a little bit of the diplomatic speech and tell you about the bilateral collaboration. So we signed a memorandum of understanding to advance apprenticeship with the United States in 2015. We renewed it in 2018, 2021, and we will come to another renewal this year. This is just to show you that apprenticeship is also a bipartisan topic. It doesn't really matter which political spectrum. It is a priority in this country, and it is a priority in many countries. The red doesn't mean a political party. It only means actually I'll choose another color. But this is where Swiss companies have established an apprenticeship program successfully in the United States. And since 2024, we will also adapt this map, because now we have a company in Indiana and in Vermont since the summer 2024 who registered a new apprenticeship program. Next slide, please. So it's really through the companies that we manage to share some knowledge. You know, they have very specific questions. For example, US companies who want to build an apprenticeship program, they might ask, okay, how do you talk to the parents? How do you work with the community college? What is the return on investment? All these specific questions, it is so important that we have this network of Swiss companies that we can rely on to share their knowledge. And sometimes we also bring foreign delegations to Switzerland to observe the model. So this is basically what is encompassed under the MOU. But now also, we talk more and more about a global workforce, mobility. And this, I'm so proud, it's a program that's long overdue, that's called Next Step, and it's to give the possibility for Swiss graduate apprentices to have an experience abroad. So we started in 2024 with a pilot program with 4 countries, Japan, India, Brazil, and the United States. And this summer, starting in September, we have 6 apprentices now, or let's say they are graduate apprentices, so they're more intern because they're doing an experience. 6 of them in the US. It goes from media designer to business and marketing to, for example, Nolan, who's here in the picture on the right side. He's a culinary apprentice and now doing an internship with the chef at the Swiss residence. Next slide, please. I just put the QR code because if you are interested in this program, if you would like to get involved, please feel free to get in contact with me. Next slide, thank you. So I think this will be my last slide, and just a little takeaways from what we have observed maybe in the last 2 or 3 years. So in the current, let's say, ecosystem. For us, with the Swiss perspective, the private sector has to be in the driving seat. You need the companies on board, and not just one company here, one company there, but really some branches of industry who work together and will help design the curriculum or the certificate. It's a long-term investment. So when you talk to the companies, it's also, you know, it's not a social investment, because we hear that a lot also in the US. It's not a social investment, it's a long-term investment so they can build their own pipeline. And how do you encourage industries when maybe at the start it has to begin with some incentives from the federal government, for example, or state government? Options. It's very important when you talk to young people to provide options. So let's give them a chance in those new careers, you know, climate protection, healthcare, biotechnology, space, a wide range of occupation that they can choose from. Permeability, this is how you talk to the parents, and the parents, they are the tough nut to crack. But if you tell them your kid or your young person can start, they will earn a salary while they learn. They will get a degree with stackable credentials. So if they want, they can pursue higher education. And during all this time, they're working with real life customer in a real company. I think that's a pretty good deal. And the last thing is collaboration. Often we talk to only one office, either education or labor or economy. It has to be the three of them together. And this is just not in Switzerland, this is in any country. I think I will stop here for the takeaways, and happy to take some questions later. Thank you so much.
Olivia, thank you so much. That was an amazing, in 10 minutes or less, overview of the Swiss system, and I think you've really made it come to life. There's no doubt there's a lot to learn from the Swiss model, absolutely no question. And from my standpoint, the earn while you learn expression is extremely important and extremely valuable. Private sector as a driving force certainly is incredible, and also apprenticeship as a driver of innovation. And so this is a perfect segue to our panel discussion that we're going to have now. So thank you so much. It's my pleasure now to introduce our panelists and to have an opportunity to do a deeper dive into some of the topics that have been discussed. So really delighted to introduce the next session, corporate insights and best practices in designing and implementing apprenticeship programs, focusing on Swiss companies and in the US and also in the UK. I'm very pleased to have representatives from organizations that are members of the Global Apprenticeship Network, also corporate champions of apprenticeship and real believers in quality apprenticeship. So from Bühler and from UBS. I'm going to introduce Patrick Bolt first. He's the Apprenticeship Academy Manager at Bühler. Patrick has managed the Bühler Apprenticeship Academy in Minneapolis, and manages currently and delivers training related to technical instruction, mechanical, mechatronics, and is an expert in his field. He also prepares students to become sort of full-time employees in field service, engineering, and project management and automation. So he has a real hands-on approach that gives apprentices a kind of a look inside how the company really works, how machines operate, and also a real focus on customer service. Patrick started originally in Switzerland. He's Swiss, and he started his career at Bühler in 2007. I'll let him tell you more about that. But he was a CNC machinist, and he worked in manufacturing for a year after the program, and then moved into the Apprentice Academy as a trainer. And his work has taken him many parts around the world, China, India, Switzerland, and now he's in Minneapolis and managing since 2020 the local apprenticeship program. So welcome, Patrick. Great to have you with us. And also delighted to have Rebecca Kellogg. Rebecca is the global head of the Junior Talent Center of Expertise at UBS, so the Junior Talent COE, as we call it. Rebecca has over 15 years experience in the US, the UK, Singapore, and Switzerland, where she's now based. And she has had many roles in the talent development, transformation, change programs, performance management, learning and development, workforce planning, you name it, she's done it. And she oversees now the junior programs with a team of individuals committed to training the next generation. So she's really focused on learning about culture, life experiences, and really has a passion for people and bringing things to life. So really happy to have all of the both of you here, and we're especially pleased to also have three apprentices from. One from Bühler and Jaden Garland. He's a mechatronic technician. He's in the second year of a 3-year program. And also we have from UBS 2 apprentices. We have Soraya Yost, who's a commercial apprentice, and we have Laura Yost, who's an IT apprentice. And we'll let Patrick and Rebecca introduce them. So thank you all for joining us here today. So we're going to dive into the first session of our first kind of theme of our panel, and that is around designing and implementing Swiss-style apprenticeship programs. And we're gonna kick off with this topic. And Patrick, let me start with you. Bühler has been providing career opportunities to young apprentices since, if I have it correctly, 1915, correct?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah. And you started your career, as I mentioned, started your career as an apprentice, and then you started to train apprentices in beyond your country of origin. Now you're in the US.
Oops.
So tell us a little bit about to Minneapolis to ensure that apprenticeship programs really align with local industry needs and really contribute to the apprentices' career development.
Mm-hmm. Perfect. Thank you. First of all, thank you so much for having us here. It's an honor to speak about apprenticeships with you. So yeah, I started in Switzerland as an apprentice, so I got to see how the apprenticeship works from an apprentice's perspective. And then later on, I had the opportunity to train apprentices in the same field, CNC machinists, Paul mechanics in Switzerland. And when I moved over to the US 4 years ago, of course, I tried to do, as much, like to make it as similar to what I learned in Switzerland as possible. And surprisingly, I would say, like, I knew that I will have to adapt it to the US, you know.
Oh, I think we might have lost him. Patrick, are you there?
To a technical college to gain their theoretical knowledge that they can apply then in the company within those 3 days. And yeah, we offer two programs. We offer the business program, commercial. Can't remember how it was called in the slide from Olivia. We offer that program. We offer a mechatronics technician program as well. And I got Jane here that I will introduce in a bit that can talk more about that. But yeah, I mean, it's very similar to what we're used to in Switzerland. We send them to a technical college. We don't send them to vocational school. But other than that, it's pretty much the same. It's a competency-based program, and they have to go through exams, challenging exams, practical and written, and they get credits from their technical college.
I think we might be having some interference issues there on the line. I think in this case, I'm going to move over to
Yep.
Patrick. Patrick,
Yep.
there's a little bit of interference on the line, so maybe want to check your
Okay.
connection. So you cut out there. I'm going to switch over to Rebecca and just in the interest of time, just really talk about, Rebecca, there's always questions about the benefits of apprenticeship programs, especially from those companies that are just at the beginning of their journey. What's a value, what's in it for me, that kind of thing. Can you tell us about any kind of unique approaches that UBS has adopted in addressing the impact and success of apprenticeship programs, just in terms of skill development or career progression for participants, and maybe what's the approach in the UK? Maybe comment a little bit about that. Is it similar to the approach that UBS has had in Switzerland? Rebecca? Can you hear me, Rebecca? Okay, great. We don't hear you. I think you need to unmute.
Okay, apologies for that. And thank you very much, Catherine.
Okay, and were you
can you hear me okay?
able to hear you're able to hear the question? Yeah, we can hear you great. Were you able to hear the question? Perfect. Okay, over to you then.
So thank you, Patrick. And one, it's a pleasure to be here today. And two, I have the reverse experience that Patrick was talking about. So I am an American who now lives in Switzerland. So I'm a product of the American system, both with my initial education as well as my university education. And so the question being about how are we doing things in Switzerland and how do we make, I think the question, Catherine, it was, how do we respond? Like, how do we create apprenticeships that respond to the needs of the organization? Did I catch that correctly?
Yeah, maybe just some unique approaches that that UBS has adopted. Approaches
So
in either in the UK, similar or different from how you've approached it in Switzerland, for example.
So I think the difference is, so Switzerland, as both Patrick and Olivia were discussing, Switzerland has a rich history of apprenticeships, internships, and providing alternatives to university education. And we refresh those programs, and I'm very excited to hear from our two participants later. We refresh those programs in combination with the schools and the governments about what the Swiss labor market needs. And I know Olivia was talking to some of those points. So the unique approach is one, to be able to get the feedback from the people in the programs themselves, and then as well to be able to understand what's the direction of Switzerland, what's the direction the companies are going, what skill sets they see in the future, and then to plan ahead for programs, to create programs that will meet those needs. So it's very, very much about preparing an educational alternative so that we are educating people both in the schools, but also in our hallways for roles that will be relevant for the Swiss market later. So simply put, people need the right jobs at the right time. Now, that approach also happens in the UK. The UK, our program is only about 7 years old, yet has received a really great amount of attention for taking that similar approach. So that's a combination with the UK government being able to understand and provide people, again, an alternative to university, but an entryway into organizations that will provide them success. So that framework, and there are several different programs available. And what we do there is that we partner with external providers and create a pathway where people can achieve either a university education or a certification that can apply to their on-the-job role. And in the meantime, they're also participating. They are sometimes a bit older than what we might see in Switzerland. Switzerland provides those opportunities from 14, 15 onwards. These are people who have graduated from the equivalent of secondary school, but they want an alternative to classic university education so they can work at the same time. So there, how we responded to that need is clearing 20% of their time. So they work 80%, but there has to be a guarantee in their contract that they work, that they will have at least 1 day free to be able to pursue their studies. They have a progression through generally 3 to 5 years, and then they're able to achieve those certifications or that university education. And again, similar to with Switzerland, working with the government to see ahead, well, what's the government going to need? So then creating or adding programs accordingly. And then also we have the advantage of working with our internal experts. So we can create those programs in partnership with the vendors.
That's great. I think you've touched on theme number 2, which I'm going to link to right now, which is all around collaboration and engagement. So thank you for that. It's a perfect segue. And Olivia talked a bit about partnership and the importance of private sector, vocational educational institution, the importance of the state, importance of the federal level of government. And so I want to just explore a bit this notion of collaboration and external engagement, and maybe regulatory bodies to create a supportive, environment for apprenticeship programs. And maybe tell us a bit about, how that's working on the U.S. front, maybe with your Swiss experience.
You were talking to me, right, Catherine? I'm sorry, you cut out there.
Yeah, I had a hiccup. Okay, to Patrick.
Okay.
Patrick, over to you.
It's Patrick, over to you.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, it's important, of course, to collaborate as much as possible with different organizations. That's why we also register our apprenticeship with the state. It gives us, it gives the apprentices the opportunity to gain to get a journey worker card from the state, which is recognized federally, nationally here in the US, so they can work in any state with that journey worker card. It gives us as a company as well the ability to apply for grants and things like that, which of course is important as well. Apprenticeships cost, of course, and getting the support from the state is, of course, very helpful. And we do send them to college, technical college that we have here close by. We work as much as possible with high schools. We need to recruit future apprentices, right? Also, career counselors, teachers are trying to find solutions, future education basically for their students in high school. And then, and we really encounter that they are willing to work with us. They want, to bring the students to the company to take a look at what we do here and so on. And of course, we're more than happy to do that. And we take every opportunity to advocate for apprenticeship programs, just as we do right now, basically.
Fantastic. Rebecca, anything to add when it comes to collaboration with external parties?
I think with external parties, when we have to all be on the same page of what we want to do for the organization. So it needs to be, what I found the most successful is when we are thinking about what a country of operation needs from the workforce. And so that then we're understanding the direction of the country, then we're creating the programs related to it. So almost as if stepping back from what a company itself needs to what's the organization need, and then aligning those programs internally to be able to fulfill the commitment.
Very clear. No, that's great. I think it's being really clear about, what the vision is and what's in it for everybody and all parties. I think that's it sounds like that's a good starting point. Great. Well, listen, let's move to our third theme, which is around overcoming the challenges and ensuring long-term sustainability. Because it's one thing to set up a program, it's another thing to have it continue, and to have it to really have a long life. So let's I'm going to start with you again, Patrick. Maybe just elaborate on some of the key challenges that Bühler has encountered in implementing apprenticeship programs in the US. And how you've overcome those challenges, but how you've ensured sort of more of a long-term sustainability of the programs themselves.
Mm-hmm. So there has been the program has been here for 12 years at Bühler in Minneapolis. So I didn't do like the beginning of I didn't really help with in the beginning with setting up the whole apprenticeship, but one challenge that we still have, of course, is recruiting. And because it's just not, Olivia talked about this, it's very common in Switzerland to do an apprenticeship, right? 2/3, as she said, of young people do an apprenticeship right away. So you don't have to explain what apprenticeships are about to any person in Switzerland. They know. It's different here, definitely, right? You have to do a lot of recruiting efforts, which we do. We work as much and as close as possible with high schools. And not only that, it's just also apprenticeships can be so different in the US, totally different. We've seen programs that take 3 months, right? 3 months, a few hours after actual work or after school, that people offer a program, and it's called an apprenticeship. In Switzerland, that's definitely not the case, or in Europe, in Germany, and so on. It's quite standardized, and the program that we have is very similar to that. It's a 3-year program or 2-year for business. They get all those degrees that they might not get in other apprenticeship programs. So people might think they know what an apprenticeship is based on what they've heard from a different company and so on, which might be what they might be comparing us with a 6-month program or so, and be like, yeah, no, I don't think that's something I want to do. It's like, well, our program is different. So definitely convincing teachers, parents, students what the program is about, but I'm sure Jaden will explain how we managed to convince him to join us and to gain his trust. So, yeah.
That's great. Looking forward to that. Thank you, Patrick. That's helpful. Yeah, it's those who are not aware of the program certainly don't necessarily see the benefit right off the bat. So it's completely clear. Rebecca, what about UBS? What strategies do you have for ensuring the long-term sustainability and adaptability of apprenticeship programs? I mean, you've had programs in place for many years. It's given UBS a competitive advantage, I suspect, in the digital economy and others. So talk to us a little bit about that.
It has, though I want to compliment what Patrick and Olivia were saying earlier about the overcoming the challenges of being in the US and launching these programs. And a warm-hearted congratulations, because being an American citizen myself, one of the things we have to overcome when launching programs in the US, and I think UBS also has the same challenge, is the difference of mindset. And this is the point about long-term, it leads into sustainability. If I think about how I was raised in the educational system in the States, the goal was always university. The goal was education, not employment. And having now lived in Switzerland for the last 11 years, the goal is employment and preparing our youth for employment and the right education for employment. I think that's a mindset shift that has to happen in the States. And so, Catherine, when you ask about how do we have sustainability, that's how we have sustainability with our programs thus far, being able to present that, especially in Switzerland and the US and the UK, as these are valuable alternatives to employ people who will then contribute to the economy and contribute to the companies at hand. And technology is one of the places that needs this the most. So shortly, we're going to ask one of our apprentices to speak about our mediumatician program, but the idea of how we could bring digital transformation and work with both internal experts at UBS, but also external experts to create programs where people could come through and think about social media and how you outreach and how you use AI and digitization. And then now looking in the UK, we recognize that we're going to need to advance our data science programs there and working again with internal, external providers. So sustainability comes from recognizing what's coming down the way in 5 to 10 years so that you can create a program quickly to start educating the next generation so they're competitive when they walk in the door.
Yeah, fantastic. So really having a long-term view to be able to rationalize why apprenticeship programs are necessary, and also working on them to that end to fulfill business growth and then personal growth. Fantastic. Okay, so you've dropped enough hints about the fact that it's time to talk to our apprentices. So we're going to talk to we're going to close off with our final theme, which is getting our feedback from our apprentices. And I'll leave Patrick and Rebecca, both of you, to introduce our three guests. So over to you.
All right. Yeah. If I may start, I'm here with Jaden Garland. Jaden is a second-year mechatronics technician. It's a 3-year program, very technical, as the name it says it already. It's mechanical and electrical training that we do. And yeah, I'm sure you may talk about how your experience, maybe from how we recruited you and so on.
Sure. So originally I wasn't looking for an apprenticeship like position, but I knew that I wasn't really interested in just sitting in university or just constantly kind of doing the same thing with the intent of wanting like to get a job after. But when I saw Bühler and how they set up the apprenticeship program, I went to a career fair, and I talked to apprentice at the time. He told me about it, and he said that it's a good plan to get you started, and it also can keep you going after you get started. And so when I did go to the career fair, I got an interview right there. What helped me to really want to like stay in the apprenticeship route was actually my interview. The first one was like a normal interview, but the second one, it was technical. So I was able to see like what we actually would be doing at work. I was building a robotic car. So it kind of taught me like, this is something that it's cool. It's not just like, you're not just going to be sitting down doing the same thing. It's hands-on work. And I'm a second year now. For my first year, I learned a lot about, the technical skills and learning how to run machines. But I had a lot of experiences. I went on field service trips. I got to meet a lot of people that, had careers in the field, and I saw them and I felt like that was something that I actually had interest in and I want to continue to do. And yeah, I've also been on those career fairs now. I'm able to go tell other people to get into this job and this career because I feel like it is something that benefits people as a whole 100%.
Jaden, that's great. I mean, I think you're probably Bueller's silver bullet, so to speak, in terms of, secret weapon at those career fairs, because nothing like hearing from another young person, how valuable and how exciting the career has been for them to say, hey, maybe I should give this a look see. So
100%.
congratulations. It sounds like you've been having a lot of fun and there's more good stuff in store. So
Yeah,
awesome.
thanks.
That's great. So Rebecca and our UBS apprentices, Laura and Soraya, over to you.
So Lauren Sarai, so it's really my pleasure to introduce the Yost sisters, of which you will shortly see they share a last name and they share a look, but they are very different in what they're doing for our organization. And so Laura is working with our banking management focus apprentice, and then she's third year in her program and can tell you a little bit more about it. And I can supplement that, and then followed by Soraya, who can tell us more details about the mediamatician program, as she's one of our IT apprentices. So Laura, may I turn over to you to tell a bit about your background, the program, and so on?
Yes, thank you so much, Rebecca. So as she said before, I'm doing the commercial apprenticeship in UBS. So like already Olivia mentioned before, an apprenticeship is usually 3 years, which is also my case. And I'm currently in my last year, so 17 years old there. And to my person itself, I'm a really communicative person who is eager to overcome new challenges and grow a little day by day, which is very, very needed if you want to be a future banker like me. I am, however, doing a focus program at UBS, which is a unique form of a banking apprenticeship. Hence, here the first year is in focus. It is an innovative and new type of way to absolve the banking apprenticeship, because in the first year, you will be at school 100% of the time. You will there focus on the foreign languages because I already completed English and French with the certificate at the end of the year. Now, in the second and third year of your apprenticeship, you will be hands on the job, able to concentrate on your work in the company, and will only be at school 1 day a week. There also, as Olivia said, you have the work-based learning, which I think really gives you the characteristic development. In the first year, you have the mental development with knowing the training at school and also at the bank's training. And in the second and third year, you can really develop your physical development. Hence, you will be with clients all around banking and will have daily meetings. So work really gets riveting there. But you not only learn characteristic developments, you also learn plenty of skills which are required to work in such an industry, of course, which are, for instance, exceptionally good communication skills. I learned the last 3 years that you really have to have like the feeling in your kind of hands to know what the client is opposite of you, because every client is different and everyone has different needs, and you kind of like have to see what they want from you. And also that you really need motivation and resilience, because you will willfully have to learn and always be proactive in these programs. Otherwise, you really aren't that good for that program, since it's a work-based learning and not only the passive learning that you have in school. I hope I could provide you a little bit good insight into the apprenticeship as a future banker. And if you have any questions, do not hesitate to reach out to me later on. Rebecca,
Fantastic. I think you've just sold us on banking at UBS.
Perfect. Thank you, Catherine.
Thank you.
Well done. Thank you, Laura. And so, Soraya, may I turn it over to you now to tell us a bit more about your program and how it's structured and what you're learning from it?
Yes, of course. So thank you, first of all, that I can be here. I really appreciate the opportunity to share with you today what I'm doing as a mediamatician apprentice at UBS. So let me start by giving you a quick overview where I stand currently. So my apprenticeship takes 4 years, 1 year longer than a commercial apprenticeship, as it is very broad. I'm currently also 17 years old and therefore in my third year of my apprenticeship. I work 60% and the other 2 days I'm at school, as I also do the BMS Matura additionally to my apprenticeship. So that after I've completed this apprenticeship, many doors are open for me. For instance, I could choose to continue working here at UBS, or I could go studying at a university if I like. Now, you're all probably wondering, what does a mediamatician really do, as it is a very new job? It is a way to bring creativity to the bank, to generate new ideas and always be on the newest trends. As a mediamatician, you will support the company's digital transformation by creating visually appealing content for social media and websites. We also create strategies for marketing and help in the media production. Essentially, our contribution to a company's digital transformation can be a quantitative advantage. You can see our job is very broad, and for this, you also need a variety of skills, but you don't need to worry. You will learn all these skills while you're doing your apprenticeship in these 4 years. These skills include, for instance, marketing, designing, creating mock-ups for websites, analytics, video editing, producing photos, and presenting skills. The most important thing that you have as a mediamatician is being creative. This is something you need to have by nature because it's a key of being a successful mediamatician. It's all about being creative and having extraordinary ideas. Now, lastly, I quickly want to touch the difference of a mediamatician and other IT apprentices, as it is a bit different. The easiest way to describe it is that a mediamatician creates digital masterpieces for the people to see on the screen. IT apprentices, on the other hand, power the world behind the screen and therefore have a more technical role than we do. This was it from my side, and I hope I could also quickly give you an overview of a mediamatician apprentice. And if you have any questions, don't hesitate to ask me.
Wonderful. I think all three of you have sold us on the value of apprenticeship programs, and it's amazing to see how individuals who are so young are so clear about, so articulate and clear about the value of education, the value of work, and so pleased with what you're doing. So congratulations to all of you. It's very exciting to get a perspective from you on what you've been able to accomplish so far, and good luck in your endeavors. Now, we only have a few minutes left. I really have to say these have been incredible testimonials and a great discussion. And I think you can really see the value of apprenticeship programs and what they bring to companies, but also to young people alike. And we've had the 3 testimonials here today, really having a great impact on business growth, but also on personal and professional growth. So there's a lot of room, no question, to do more cross-fertilization between countries like Switzerland and other parts of the world, and no question that digitalization, automation, evolving business needs, and DE&I, for example, are really going to shape future apprenticeship programs and meet the needs of the future. I would like to share something very quickly, something that GAN Global has been working on to help companies with establishing quality apprenticeship programs. And because people have said to us, listen, okay, this is great, but how do I get started? So we said, we've got the ILO recommendation that came out last year. What GAN Global did is created really an employer roadmap, very simple, kind of 7-step recommendation on what to do, 7 key components on what to do based on the ILO recommendation. And it's a simple kind of 2-page roadmap, and we're happy to share this document with those of you on the call, in the interest really of spreading the word and encouraging more quality apprenticeships on a global basis. So very happy. I think we've touched upon many of the elements in the recommendation over the course of the last hour. There's so much more to talk about, but I think we've done a deep dive on collaboration, on external engagement, and really the importance of working while you're learning. So with that, I think we can open up very quickly for another couple minutes if there are any questions for anybody who would like to ask any thoughts. We can use the chat, the webinar chat. Happy to take questions on that basis before we close off our discussion today. There was a question about the QR code, and for those of you interested in getting the QR code that was sent to that Olivia shared, please send us an email at info@ganglobal.org. Great, Ilan, we will do that. We'll share the email address. Thanks so much, Catherine. We will. The other Catherine. There you go. Good. And we're happy if those of you who are interested in our 2-pager employer roadmap, happy to share that afterwards, as I mentioned. Any other questions? Going once, going twice? I think in the interest of time, I think we'll call it a day. Thank you so much to all of you for joining us here today, and particularly to our panelists, Olivia, Rebecca, Patrick, Laura, Soraya, and Jaden. It's really been a great discussion. Thank you so much for sharing your day with us, and also a big thank you to the GAN Global team, Christina Greco-Martin, and to Clara Tavares. Couldn't do it without you. All right. Thanks so much. Have a great day, evening.
Thank you so much for
Goodbye,
having me.
everyone.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.
Thank you.
Always a pleasure.